Hi, welcome back to Shared Reading, and welcome back to the story of the first town meeting. Remember yesterday we were reading a story about how this town had to make a big decision because new people came and they didn't know what to do? Well, today we're going to finish that story, or finish the excerpt, and find out what the town leaders were able to decide. Today, as we read, we're going to gather key events happening in the story. We're also interested in the characters and how they add to the story. We're looking at their actions, their thoughts, and what they're saying to help analyze them and to see how they interact with each other. What I fail to understand, said Ben, is why this particular misfortune has happened to us. He paused, looked into the air to his left, and frowned. It was a habit of his. He seemed to need a pause and a frown every now and then to put together his thoughts. Wilmer and Mary had gotten used to waiting through these pauses. I don't see why we deserve it, Ben went on after a few seconds. Having labored as diligently as we have, and just when we were starting to prosper at last, after so many years of, well, adversity is a mild word for it. The others nodded, thinking of the hard years. There had been winters when people shivered in tents and ate chopped up roots and shriveled nuts. There had been years of drought and plagues of tomato worms and devastating crop failures that meant people had nothing to eat for months but cabbage and potatoes. There had been times when people had to work so hard to stay alive that they sometimes died just from being too tired to go on. No one wanted to go back to those times. So what do we do? Said Mary. If they can't stay and they can't go, what's the right thing to do? The others sat silent. Well, there's the pioneer, said Wilmer, as a temporary solution. True, said Ben. A good thought, said Mary, and Wilmer beamed. So what about this? Mary went on. We'll let them stay in the pioneer. We'll give them food, water, and food. We do have some extra in the storehouse. In exchange, they work. They help in the fields. They help with building. They do whatever there is to do. We'd have to teach them how. As far as I can see, they know nothing. After a while, when they're stronger and when they know better how to get along, they can move on. They can set up their own village somewhere else. As I'm reading through this story and continuing on, I notice that there are some key events here. I noticed that up at the beginning, when Ben is saying this particular misfortune, I know that he's upset that they have to deal with these new people that came to town. This tells me a lot about his character, and it tells me a lot about what he's thinking. Also, a little later down in paragraph 13, Wilmer has a great suggestion. He says, the pioneer. It's a temporary solution, not one that's the best solution, but it's a temporary one. So he's just trying to come up with ideas. So he has a possible solution there. As we continue reading in paragraph 15, we see that they all kind of come to an agreement. They kind of see that they decide to help the new people until they learn how to survive on their own. They'll give them food and water, but they've got to work for them, and they're going to teach them how to live on their own. Survive on their own. Now that we've finished the story of the first town meeting, I want to know, what do you think happens next? How do the people from underground respond to the town leader's decisions? I want you to write what you think the next 3 events are in this story.